Okay. So we are recording, or so it says. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Okay.
And I also want to welcome you all and welcome Melanie. This has been a while in process getting this together, and there's been an interest in complementary care modalities. We've done some programs on various things, but Ayurveda is really, really interesting. It means the science of life. So Melanie's going to be telling you about how she got involved in the study of Ayurveda and what it means for her in her wellness journey and what it might mean for you in yours. And the other thing I want to mention is at the very end of the program, there will be a poll. There'll just be like 3 or 4 questions. We would like some feedback from you on the program that helps us plan for the future. So without further ado, I turn it over to Melanie.
Good morning, everybody. And I want to thank you, Judy, in particular, for helping make this happen today. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. And I also want to thank Marla for helping in whatever support capacity she has. I never know the exact dynamics of how things like this come together. During today's presentation, we're going to review a couple of documents or discuss some of the ideas from a couple of documents. You were sent 3 documents. One of them is Ayurveda, a brief introduction guide and guide. Another is guidelines for determining your constitution. And then the third was what I call a KWL. And the KWL is going to help me help you. So I don't know whether anybody got a chance to look at any of the documents, but that is important for me to know because that may reframe what I do in the presentation. And I'm guessing if you're here, it's because you're interested in exploring more about holistic healing or trying to find ways to rebalance yourself and gain greater health. So before I start, has anyone had a chance to look at those documents that Judy sent you?
Just a little bit.
Okay. Okay, one person responded. How about anybody else? Did anybody else look at them?
Yes, this is Mary. I looked at them. I unmuted myself. We were muted just now, so I unmuted myself.
Sorry. Good point, Mary.
And I did. I went over it too. I had a little trouble deciding on which I actually was, but
Okay.
I did fill it out.
Okay, good.
I thought the article was excellent because I don't know much about this, and I felt like I learned an awful lot. It was very, for the layperson, very good.
Perfect. That's what I was hoping. Okay, so Mary, you've shared. Was the other person Bev? Who else? I couldn't tell who was speaking because I'm on my cell phone.
Okay, Suzanne. Yeah.
Suzanne. Okay. Hi, Suzanne. Glad you could join us.
Hi, thanks.
Okay. Did anybody else get a chance to look at the documents?
Nancy.
I'm Barb. Somehow I missed it. I'm so sorry. But now I know where it is. I just saw it. Yeah.
Okay. And Nancy, you what you're saying?
Yes, that was
Okay,
me.
good. You got a chance to look. Okay. Rima, did you?
You know, when I downloaded it, all I got was the evaluation sheet. I didn't get the one that explained what this is. I didn't get that. I kept opening the file and it kept giving me where you fill in the evaluation. So
Okay, that must be a different message from Judy. Okay. And then Maria, how about you?
Yes, I did look at them. I didn't print them out, but I did look at them.
Okay, good. Let's see. So Barb, Reem, Nancy, Holly, you did. Suzanne, Maria.
Yeah.
hi.
Did I miss anybody by asking? I'm not sure.
Bev didn't, I only glanced at some of them.
Okay, so for those that did get a chance to look at it before I get started, just so I can sort of put it on my sheet of papers, were there any things that what anybody want to share what their takeaway might be in a couple of words about Ayurveda, what they think it's about or whatever. And say your name first. That helps me.
I'm Barb, and I actually read a book on this, and it was just so confusing. I'm looking forward to more of a summary.
Okay.
It just sounded like, it sounded a little bit like gobbledygook, reading this, I was very frustrated.
Okay, not to worry. We will get you started and we'll take you down that path step by step. Okay, anybody else?
This is Nancy. I
Okay, hi,
did a
Nancy.
little introduction to it when I was in China several years ago. So I was
Perfect.
went through Chinese medicine and that sort of thing in a couple of places. So I was always interested in it. So when I saw you were doing it, Melanie, I really was very interested in doing it. And I was really, as I did that check sheet, I was very interested in how it came out, and I'm wondering what it actually means for my health.
Beautiful, Nancy. That helps, and we'll get you going in that direction. One thing I want to say, and it's an important thing, I am not a BAMS educated Ayurvedic physician. I am just a practitioner myself, as a practitioner for my own self, and a passionate person about it. So anything I say today needs to be understood in that context. I'm not going to suggest anybody do any of these things that they're uncomfortable with. And if you have any health concerns, always check with your doctor. So just wanted to make sure I did that. But Nance, it's so good to hear you. I can't see anybody, so yeah.
So Melanie, this is Mary.
Yes.
My first thought was, oh my, I have to go from all or nothing. Like I have a Mediterranean diet, and I felt like, oh no, I have to change everything. And it was too drastic for me. So I'm glad you're saying, that was my first impression.
Perfect that you shared that, because that's something we will work with you on, and not to worry. It's a process. It is not a perfection kind of way of looking at things. So any little tweaks you can do will bring you closer to feeling better and more balanced. And you may already feel that way, Mary. That's the piece. If you're feeling good in the space you are with the things you're doing, then you'll probably want to be trying out less newer things. But it's a process, and you want to look at it from process, progress, but not perfection. Yeah. Anybody else?
I'm a little bit confused. I think I am a combination of a couple of the different types. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Okay, and is this Suzanne?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. We will work towards that and see what we can help with answering questions. Anybody else?
Oh, come on, let's go.
Was that Rima?
Maria, I seem to be all over the map as well.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? No. Okay. Going once, going twice, 3 times. Anybody else want to share or any questions? Because nobody mentioned specific questions, but they did share, in a sense, contextualized questions of, well, does this make sense? What do I have to do, etc. So I'm going to get started because I think it's important that we spend as much time as we can looking at some of your questions as we go through the process too. So I think what might be helpful for you to understand how I ended up doing this myself. So 7 years ago, I was going through the change of life. And since this is an all woman audience this time, unless Barb, your partner is with you, I don't know, his name is on there too. I went through the change of life. And in that process, I took a workshop that was being offered on a variety of yoga therapies. And one of them, it was called Yoga Vidya. One of them was Ayurvedic medicine. So I felt that that was really important. I'm not yet moving along too much on this for a purpose, because I want to just get this piece going, and then I'm structured. So when I took the course, I was also having heartburn at the time and experiencing those kinds of symptoms. So I got very lucky. And at the time, there was an Ayurvedic physician visiting the Hindu cultural center off of Albany Shaker Road. And he gave me a 30-minute evaluation as quickly as he possibly could. He figured it all out. And that was my beginning into the process. Now, Judy has put up the PowerPoint piece on the next slide. And what you're seeing is Ayurveda is basically an age-old medical science based on the finding that if we balance ourselves, we will achieve greater harmony and better health, and therefore longevity, hopefully, because I think all of us would like that. So Judy, go on to the next slide for me. Okay, so as you can see, Ayurveda encourages us to listen to our own body and try to home in on what we can from our own experience to try to achieve balance. You will notice when you do things, there is a response. So that's what I want you to be thinking about. How am I responding? Is it a good response or a bad response to things that I do? And when I say things that I do, that would be diet, as you know, one of the concerns that I think was just raised. You know, what do we do? Like what Mary was saying with, you know, I do the Mediterranean diet. If that diet is working for you, you stay completely with it. Anything that works for you, you want to stay with. But if it's not completely working, you can tweak. And then the other piece that's important to know is that Ayurveda is not only based on your own body, but your body in the context of the world around you, which may include everything from seasons. Some of you may be noticing changes in your body during the fall. I always experience it more during the summer because of my body type. Also, those of you that may still be working, I don't know if anybody on this list is still working, but your work relationships could impact your balance in your body, your mind, and your spirit. And the same thing, family relationships. Who doesn't get some drama here and there? That affects our body, mind, spirit, and the balance that we experience. Judy, can you advance to the next slide? And I might add that if I'm saying something and you have a question as we go along, I can either very quickly answer if it's a quick question at that point in time, or be jotting down, if you would, questions that are coming up as we're doing this, and we will try to make as much time available for the question part. Okay. Okay. So now, you really want, your goal in following something like Ayurveda is to avoid creating imbalances. And how do you do that? You do that by your diet. You do it by your lifestyle practices. You do that by seeing how your body responds in the seasons, okay, or the climate that we're currently in. Some of you may have had physical trauma. Your body still responds in relation to what has happened to you in the past. It's in your cells. So one of the things all of you that did get a chance to look at the PowerPoint noticed is that there are 3 primary biologically based constitutional types. Those are constitutional types, but any one of us can be a combination of them. And that's probably what's made most of you go, huh? What the heck? So I want you to think of it this way. When you do get a chance to go over that second document that was trying to help you figure out, you know, what your constitution is, how to determine your own constitution, you're going to keep an eye on where your greater numbers are to get a sense of what you might want to be doing in your daily diet and your practices, your lifestyle practices. And each one of us is a unique combination of 5 elements. The 5 elements are ether or space, something that we can't touch, really. It's all around us. We're in it, okay? Air, fire, water, and earth. So those 5 elements, we each have some of them. Some have more than others of each of the elements. But having them in our body type, our constitution, they use the term dosha. If you looked at the literature, dosha just means, what's my body type? What is my constitution? What is the way I function in this world and how do I respond to things. That's what it's referring to. So far, any quick questions that we should cover right now, or anything you want to leave off until later? No? Okay. Ayurveda is also a very key word. It's a bio-individual perspective. So every single body is uniquely different. No two people are the same. And that's why, even though we hear the thing about, well, do the Mediterranean diet, do the keto diet, do the paleo diet, do all these diets. Do what makes you feel good is the idea, because since you are so unique, there are items in the Mediterranean diet. Melanie ate them. Melanie would be sick. I can't eat certain kinds of foods. So if I eat them, even though they're supposedly good for everybody, globally those diets are. But within things like the Mediterranean diet, there are some foods that your body type doesn't respond well. And the other piece that I was saying before about how you're all composed of different elements and how that plays out amongst people. Some people, when they looked at that little exam or the assessment, said, oh my goodness, I'm clearly more one than the other. Then others went, oh my God, I can't tell. I'm so close in this one and I'm so close in that one, and I don't know. And then some may have felt like they were spread all around. Now, the piece with that document, the guidelines for determining your constitution, it isn't based on, if you back over your life, think about how you were as you've evolved over time, and the consistencies that comes from would be what you're looking for. It's not about what you were yesterday or tomorrow. It's sort of like, how are you overall throughout your life? What are the tendencies? Because the other piece that lays over that is, what are you in this moment? So that's the way you want to look at it. What have I consistently, almost consistently throughout my life been? And that can be problematic trying to figure it out, but that's what you want to do when you look at that assessment that I gave you. And two, the other piece of that is, what am I feeling in the moment? When I said the part about I had the heartburn kind of, that was to give you the trigger. What's going on right now in my body that wasn't doing it yesterday, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, and 5 years ago, and when I was a kid? What's something that's cropped up? That is what is happening. That's your imbalances. So try to think of it that way. Think about what you have consistently over time experienced in your body when you do that evaluation or assessment. And for those of you that find you're all over the place, and that's looking at it from the context of throughout your life, then you may actually be somebody who's evenly divided. There are very few of you, but there are some people that have all three of those constitutional types or doshas spread out over three evenly. Judy, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, now looking at Vata, okay? Vata is the energy that's associated with space and air. The people that have Vata, a lot of it in their body, tend to be highly creative, tend to be energetic, all over the place, constantly thinking about things. They may be almost feeling frenetic at times. They may feel a lot of anxiety at times. That is over your lifestyle. I mean, over your lifetime, not this moment, because right now we're in a season where that happens more. So that can be an imbalance that's occurring for all of us, because the fall is like that. But Vatas are creative, they're flexible, or can be flexible when they're in balance. And that's the piece that's important to understand. When you're in balance, you're that way. And then when you're not in balance, you can be carrying a lot of fear, you can be carrying a lot of anxiety, and double thinking, triple thinking, going crazy. That is what a Vata person often experiences, but all of us can experience that if we're having an imbalance of that particular constitutional piece in our body. Any questions so far on Vata? Okay. Judy, you want to go to Pitta? I'm trying to go through fast so we can save a lot of time for.
Yeah, and I just want to remind folks that they can post questions in the chat box. I'll be monitoring that. So
good.
if you'd rather not take yourself off mute, if you just want to type something in for Melanie or a comment, please feel free to do that. And we'll move.
And Judy, because I'm on the phone, I'm going to count on you to trigger when I need to know about it, because I can't really look at the Charla, the chat box too much. Thank you for adding that. Okay, so we're moving over to the Pitta slide. Okay, so Pitta, Melanie is a Pitta. Okay, dot the I, cross the T, detail person. Judy knows me. Judy also knows that if she doesn't tell me, Melanie, tone it down a little bit, Melanie will do 50,000 things in relation to one thing, because that's what Pittas do. We want to do it just right. We have if you look at people that are, what's that type? Oh my God, my brain just froze. We're type A's. Pittas are type A's big time. We go out the window on being type A people. So from the mind part, if you give me an assignment, I get home and I'm working on it already. Okay. And if I didn't get it to you, Judy knows this because I had my computer crash. If I didn't get it to you on time, I freak out and then figure out a way to work around it and spend all my time and energy trying to fix what I said I would do. You can count on me. If I tell you I'm doing it, it's done. And if it doesn't, then a serious issue occurred. So Pittas are that way. Does that resonate with anybody? Some of you may be saying, oh, I guess I might got some Pitta in me. Now, when a Pitta looks at their body, if Pitta's going to have issues, and I forgot to mention this with Vata, when I should probably just take one step back and mention to the Vata folks that think they might be Vatas. Vata's bodies tend to get more arthritis. Thank you, Judy. Vatas tend to experience more things like arthritis and pain in their bodies. They're fragile bodies. They tend to be very, their bodies, basically their metabolism is catabolic. I think that's the word, where it eats itself. And they're constantly, eating now, eating then, etc. kind of thing. And they never gain weight. That's more what Vatas are. That doesn't mean in change of life that you didn't end up gaining weight, but think about throughout your life till you got to the change of life. Did you see your body always being very slender, and it's very hard to keep weight on you? And do you tend to have arthritic-like discomfort in your body? That's Vata. Go back to Pitta if you would, Judy, for me. So the Pitta people like me, if I don't watch it, I will have heartburn. And Pitta folks have to be very conscious, and we will talk a little bit more about what do you eat, what you don't eat if you're in those different body types later. Now, if a Pitta person like me is balanced, you will find me to be a very kind, loving person, and I won't eat your head off. And I will do whatever I can to make you feel safe and in a good space if I am in balance. Now, if I don't get to eat when I need to eat, I will eat your head off. Oh, poor Fred, my husband knows that. But if I'm feeling balanced or overall in balance, a Pitta person can be kind, understanding, and they like to use the term saying intelligence, meaning that they have awareness of a lot of kinds of things. That's a term that gets thrown out there. We all define intelligence differently, but they tend to be people that like to research things. If you give me an idea, I will research it up the wazoo till I figure out what is the truth here, or is there actually a truth here? So that's a quality of a Pitta, always looking for the answer, the finite answer, the best answer. Pittas do that. Now, as I alluded to a couple of seconds ago, if I don't eat, I will eat your head off. Yes, anger can be a sign if you're a person that can be angry. That's an imbalance of a Pitta person, or anybody that has some Pitta in them. If they're imbalanced, that being angry and hatred kind of feeling or jealousy would surge up from a Pitta imbalance. And anyone can have a Pitta imbalance. But is your body type Pitta? That's what you're sort of looking at right now. What is my body type? Because if you can figure out where you come on the spectrum there, the things you do will stop you from having the imbalances, so that the negative things that we talk about will dissipate and you'll work through them. Okay, now we're going to move on to Kapha for me, please. Okay, so Kapha is that big boned person generally. Kapha is sort of like your teddy bear kind of person generally. I'm not talking about you went through the change of life and you put on a few pounds. What were you through most of your life? Did you tend to struggle always with weight issues? And when I say struggle, you might not even eat much, but you seem to have gained weight. That's kind of that thinking there. Are you, if you are imbalanced, the kind of person that's the sweetest person on the planet, always thinking about other people, always forgiving, always doing whatever you can to make that other person feel good? Are you just, are you really like, I'll show you what's behind my back here. Are you this? Are you like a teddy bear? Do you always make everybody feel safe? Okay. That is a Kapha person when they are in balance. They will always have your back. They'll always be thinking about you. They'll always be checking in with you. That's just who they are. And they're also very pleasing people. They hate to hurt. They may even hate to hurt insects sometimes. So, and bigger body, bigger bones, tend to be your stockier.
Melanie, I don't know if you're moving around your room, but we're having intermittent audio interruptions. So you might want to find a good spot and park yourself there.
But not always, but that's what they tend to be. My friend, not yours. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Judy?
hear you now. So just try not to move around a lot. I know you're a Pitta and you're always on the move, but if you could be a little more
Actually,
Kapha.
a Vata is always on the move. Just to let you know,
All right.
Pittas are in the middle in the continuum. Vatas on the far side of being always on the move constantly. They're the ones with 50,000 things on their to-do list and always trying to check them off, and they can never get them all done. And they feel overwhelmed.
I stand corrected. So
Okay.
the audio is fine now. Thank you.
Okay, good. So I wasn't actually moving, but it's my signal. So sorry, I apologize. So us Pittas are in the middle of in the continuum, and we don't tend to be going all over the place, but we will go to the nth degree in researching things. That's an example of what a Pitta would do. Now, my Kapha friends, if they are imbalanced, they will be possessive. They will be like, I don't like the fact that she's hanging out with that person instead of me. They can be greedy if they're imbalanced, Kaphas. And Kaphas can also be envious if they're imbalanced. I've sort of noticed this in my own sister, who happens to be a Kapha. And sometimes she'll say something that makes me think, okay, I think she's a little out of balance with her Kapha-ness. So, okay, so let's, any questions so far on any of the three doshas I've just touched on very quickly? No? Okay, let's go on to the next slide, Judy. Okay, so to support your individual constitution, I can't say it more. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach, just like diets are not good because most of them are one-size-fits-all. Even if you look at the Vata, Pitta, Kapha suggestions for what you should eat, not one size fits all. You're going to see what you respond to. So it's sort of like a trial and error thing. You experiment. Did this work for me? Did it not? Okay. But what you want to do is to support yourself, to keep this in mind. Routines for all three of the doshas or constitutions are critical. And let me explain just very quickly why. If you maintain a routine, your body, mind, spirit calms down. It begins to anticipate and organize what it does. Your body in particular really loves this. It will stop doing some things it's doing if it's used to knowing you're going to do something and you do it. The people that have the hardest time with routines are the Vatas, but they need it the most. Vatas, you need a daily routine and you need to do whatever you can do to stick with it. And if you do that, I guarantee you will notice a difference in your life. Pittas, if you give me a routine, I'm doing it. And I've been doing it since the beginning of the pandemic and I feel so good. It makes a huge difference. And I only have small tweaks I have to do. Kaphas, you resist anything you have to always do, but it's really important for you. So from that context, a routine for all three types is critical. The other piece there, when you think of Ayurvedic medicine, it is not to replace Western medicine. May I repeat? Not to replace Western medicine. Ayurveda is used to complement your body and balance your body. You will need less of the Western medicine if you follow the tenets of Ayurvedic medicine and you keep your body in balance. It's a preventive medicine, okay? It gently nudges us back to balance if we follow the ideas with diet, with lifestyle, and some of the other practices that are important. And but the difference between Ayurveda and Western, a big difference is Ayurvedic practices do not have the nasty side effects, which say you take some kind of pill, you'll find side effects from pills. If you would take, say, an Ayurvedic herb, I've never had any kind of reaction, and they're not made in a way to cause reactions, but I do not prescribe anything. And I encourage you to find a way of learning about your own body. Let's go to the next slide, if we will, Judy. Okay, so those of you that were struggling when you filled out the questionnaire and trying to figure it out, some of you, like I just said before, very quickly found only one area you tended to concentrate. You had a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 answers in some of the other categories, but overwhelmingly, you may have found one that really resonated for you. Some of you found, I don't know, am I this one or am I that one? Am I this one or am I that one? Chances are you may be a blend of those two with only a little bit of the third in you, or none of the third. It's hard to say. We almost all have a little bit of each. I may have like a couple of qualities of a Kapha, but I'm very much Pitta. And if I'm imbalanced, I tend to have the Vata. And I'm going to explain one more thing about that. In our lives, when we are born with that constitution, and that occurs because a combination of things. Your parents' constitution could influence that, or your parents' imbalance at birth when your mother and your father helped to conceive you could influence what constitution you have. You may have 3 siblings and all 3 of you are different, just so you know. You came from the same parents, but your constitution determines what you need to do to make you feel better. And then in a rare instance, like I was saying before, that's 3, try 3. So almost nobody that I know is one of those people. There's so few of them. The most common are people that are either almost predominantly one dosha or constitution, or people that are you kind of split between 2. Okay. Now let's go to the next slide, Judy, if we will. Okay, so Ayurveda, if you can, the ideal is to somehow find an Ayurvedic physician. And the Ayurvedic physicians can either be trained in India, or there are institutions in the United States. There's the Ayurvedic Institute, which is down in Albuquerque. There are other places throughout the country where people have been trained. I have not been successful in getting one in our area. At a time, I once tried to connect Judy with an Ayurvedic physician in Kripalu. I think she's back working there. I do not know her. I cannot recommend her because I don't know her, but you could check out to see if she is there. The other thing you can do is if you go to the Ayurvedic Institute, which is going to be on a resource that you're going to be given tomorrow, or whenever Judy sends out the follow-ups from me. The Ayurvedic Institute actually does online consultations, and they use some of their students to do some practice. So you may be able to get one for free or low cost. And they would be a good person to be asking, well, I'm confused about this and I can't tell. And they'll ask you all kinds of pointed questions. The one thing they can't do if they do it online is there are a number of assessments that normally are done. So in order for a real Ayurvedic physician, and that's who I recommend people would try to get seen by someday to determine for sure what their constitution is. And they can also tell you if you have a current imbalance at that point. They will take a look at the following. They will look at your tongue. They will look at the shape of your tongue. They will look at indentations on your tongue, the color of your tongue. They will look at whether there's a film on your tongue. That tells them a lot about actually different positions on your tongue tell what's going on in different parts of your body. And they can read that. They also will take a look at your eyes. Pitta people, we tend to get red eye. That's part of us very often, especially if we're imbalanced and like crazy and not drinking. That will make me hotter, and that'll make me probably have redder eyes. And then also they will look at your body shape or bodily form. Like I was saying to you before, skinny minis tend to be Vata. People that are very muscular, anybody that's ever done yoga with me in Judy's classes knows that I have muscular calves. I got runner's calves and I don't run. Yoga, yes. Qigong, yes. Ride my exercycle, ride my bicycle, yes. Swim, yes, but not run. So muscular build. If you have very muscular build, then you are likely a Pitta type. If you're a big body, like I've said before, you tend to have big bones and broad shoulders, really broad shoulders, and wide hips, probably, but not a narrow waist kind of thing, but wide hips. You're probably looking at got some Kapha in you. Don't know if you're all Kapha, but you're likely, if you're a big person, you think big, you're more than likely more of a Kapha person. And I don't mean really tall. You could be wide or broad and be Kapha. You don't have to be 6 feet
Siri,
7.
is
Okay?
there such a thing as 1,000-fold?
Okay, I found this on the web for is there such a thing as 1,000-fold? Check it out.
Judy, what's
It sounds like somebody was talking to their Siri at the moment. So was that a question that somebody had about constitution, dosha? Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question.
that was you? Okay, I don't know who did that. I thought it was you, Judy. Sorry.
No.
Okay. So now let me go back to where we were. So now, the other piece they look at is your voice quality, your skin quality, because each one of the constitutions presents itself differently. You know, if you tend to get really dry skin, people with strong Vata constitutions tend to get very dry skin. People with my constitution have sensitive skin. So we often get pink and freckled and have all kinds of blotches or, you know, those kinds of things. The people that have kapha skin tend to have very moist, oily skin. They never get dried. They probably break out more than I do, or more than somebody who's a vata person would. So vata, dry, pitta tends to be sensitive, and kapha tends to be oilier and smoother and better quality skin. That is a continuum. Remember that continuum. All of this is on the continuum. Okay, now, what do you do to rebalance your health is really important. I spoke about routine. I'm going to say it again. Routine, routine, routine. Figure out what a routine is that is helpful to you. And we can, after this session, explore more about what routines look like. And if that is something that people want to know about, I can at some point in time also share with Judy to give to you guys something called a dinacharya, or a daily routine idea. It's a framework. Each person's different. You look at it from your lens. And then your lifestyle practices. So if you establish routine and stick, even though that's so hard for some of you to stick with your routine, whether it's hard because you're all over the place kind of person and anxiety and so many things going on, or if you're a stick in the mud kind of person, you resist change, you don't want to do new things. This is such an effort. I can't do this. You need routine too. The people in the middle, like I said, we just live our lives with routine. And sometimes people would like to hit us over the head and said, could you break and be more spontaneous? But okay. And anybody can have a dosha go out of balance, but you need to get whatever that imbalanced dosha or constitutional type is back in balance. Even if it's not your constitution, if you have that kind of imbalance, you have to get that imbalance moved over and out and get back into balance. And then the other piece on that is that if you were to go to an Ayurvedic physician, they are the kinds of people that would tell you, okay, you may need to take a supplement, the herbal supplements. And this supplement, if you take it for 3 months, do blah, 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 that might be helpful to you. Or you may need to take it 6 months. Or in one of the cases, one of the things I take, it's a woman's herbal supplement that they recommend all women take all throughout their life, because it really helps our women's parts stay in place. You're going to laugh when you hear this. It is a kind of wild asparagus. The supplement is made from a specific kind of wild asparagus plant. And that particular plant, it's called Shatavari, really helps women's constitutions in a lot of ways. So that's something that I've been taking ever since I started. The other things, if I hadn't balanced, I did a little bit of those herbal supplements, and they really helped me gain balance. That and changing what I was eating and getting back on a safer lifestyle practice, because sometimes you get off. So, okay, let's go to the next one, Judy, for a little bit more specifics on this one, balancing Vata. Okay, most important for you to understand about Ayurvedic medicine, the principle is like increases like. So if you're a Vata person and you eat a lot of food similar to Vata with qualities like Vata, you'll have Vata up the wazoo and be in trouble. What you're going to want to do is, if you're a Vata person, is balance out your Vata constitution by eating foods and doing lifestyle practices that rebalance you. So they're basically going to have the opposite qualities of what your imbalance or your constitution is. So Vata, the reason I said we're in the season of Vata and it's cold, it's damp, cold, it's somewhat drier than the summer. I can't say that 100% because climate change. In the season of autumn, usually it's cold and dry and windy. It has that element. We have dampness more than we usually do. But right now, cold, dry is an issue. So for all of us, even those of us that don't think that we have a Vata constitution, eating warmer food, staying warmer, and adding maybe a little bit of moistness or oiliness to food with warming spices is helpful in this season, but it's especially helpful year round, with the exception of the summer. You don't want hot and spicy during the summer. You don't need as much oil during the summer.
Melanie,
but
Melanie, there is a
yes.
question in the chat box, and
Okay, good.
in the interest of time, I just want to bring it up right now. The question is, how did you learn what supplements to take since there is no practitioner around?
Because I went to one in 2014, and the person that I went to prescribed to me some that I would take for 6 months, some I would take for 3 months, and one that I should take for my whole life. So I have been to a physician, an Ayurvedic physician, who prescribed those for me, and he told me how to peel off taking them. But if I had those same kinds of imbalances later on, I returned to taking some of the same supplements because I knew from my experience of taking them that they peeled it off. I'm not telling you to do what I did. I am me. I do what works for me. But what I am saying is the things that I do were based on a physician telling me this is what my body needed to rebalance me, and one, to stay balanced for as a woman. So that I got from a physician. That's how. Okay. So, because let me quickly go back to Vata again. So Vata, you are mobile. You're all over the place. So you need to counteract your mobility. You need routine. You need to make sure you make time to do those things that keep you balanced, and you need to rest. Vata's out there. You guys don't rest. You don't have time to rest. That's what you say. I don't have enough time. Vata's experienced tremendous burnout. Okay. Make the time. I don't care what you have to do. Build in restful periods during your day. You must do that. That's what a Vata needs to do. On to Pitta, please. Okay, so Pitta, Melanie. If Melanie gets hot, Melanie is a monster crazy. Okay. So Pittas tend to be hot. We're slightly oily. So I do not eat fried food. Or if I do, I pay the consequence. If I'm clear, don't eat a lot of fried food if you are a Pitta type. You will regret it. Don't do that. I don't. So, all right, then. Okay, so in hot tubs, gravitate to cooling foods and drying foods. You want astringent and bitter and sweet kinds of foods. And then if you're going to exercise, and I do all the time, that's what keeps me non-crazy, keeps me healthy, balanced, good. I don't do heavy duty, but I do consistent. So Pittas need to exercise either earlier in the day or at the cooler times later in the day, especially in the summer. Stay out of the sun. Do not get yourself overheated. Do not overheat in the middle of the day. That's the worst time. And then the 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. period of time is not good for Pittas in the summer, because that's the heating time. Okay, let's go over to Kapha quickly. And remember, this is just an overview. I can't give you all the details you're going to need. This is a start. You're touching on them with me. Okay, Kapha people, you need to do the opposite of the Vata people. You need to move. Get those bodies moving. And I know you resist it, and I understand that, but do whatever you have to do to get your body moving. It will make your mind move more. It will get your spirit lifted. It will bring you up and raise up your energy. Move. You say, but if I move, I'll be tired. No, you move, you gain energy. Move, Kapha. Okay. Also, you want to keep foods, not want to have heavy, like food. Light food. And you want the stuff I cannot touch. Spicy food, pungent food. That helps you. Let's make sure you're stimulated and get yourself moving. Next slide, Judy. Uh-oh, am I frozen? There we go. Okay, so once again, I said this before, but no, go back one more. Okay, all right, so Progress, not perfection. Okay. Progress, not perfection. After you implement a daily routine, you'll begin to notice changes. They're subtle, simple dietary changes, and more compatible exercise and lifestyle habits will begin to get you going in the right direction and more balanced. Okay. And then if you've been in balance for a long time, it's going to take you longer to get into balance. Next slide, Judy. Okay. So remember that Ayurveda is based on the understanding that health results from harmony within oneself. There is no one model. You need to figure out what's on little by little, and you're touching the water, putting your toes in. To be healthy, you have to have harmony between, your purpose in your life, your thoughts impact your health, your feelings impact your health, your physical actions impact your life and your health. And each one of us is individual. One person is going to respond differently from another based on their physical, mental, spiritual strengths and weaknesses. So now we're going on to that part that's most important, but we're just touching on this. I couldn't cover everything. So now we're on the last slide. We're on the final questions. Judy, if you can go to the last slide for us, just so now we try to get as much in the way of questions answered in a group basis as we can. Hopefully some of what I shared has been helpful. Maybe it's piqued your interest. You want to learn more. That's really what to look more for your own self. Trying to apply one or two things. Now, let's go to your questions.
And
everybody
feel free to unmute yourselves if you would like to ask a question or share. And remember that we do have, I'm going to put a poll up on the screen. So while you're considering some final questions, if you could maybe just answer those questions, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and when answering the questions, remember this is an introductory session. I couldn't teach you how to do this. I can touch your hearts and tell you about something, but ultimately it's up to you to begin to look more into this. And I can only do a little bit in an hour. Go ahead with your questions.
Everybody's really quiet. I guess they're working on their poll. I see a lot of people answering the poll.
Okay, so I'm a Vata, obviously. What kind of herbs would a Vata take?
Well, if you need to go over, okay, go ahead. Okay, the herb part is not going to be one that I want to touch. I'll tell you why. That's really for a physician to tell you. The only thing I can tell you is the one thing he told me that applies to women is Shatavari is good for all women's bodies, but I'm not a physician, so I don't want to, I feel bad to do that. You're going to focus more on what can you do with your diet, what can you do with your lifestyle, and
okay, thank you.
Melanie?
Is this Mary? Or is
no,
this Mary or who is this? Who was that, by the way? Yeah.
That was Barb. That was Barb. But thank you.
Okay.
Melanie,
Yeah.
do you have
All
any either books or websites to recommend for people to help learn some more? This is Suzanne.
Yes, that is what Judy is going to share with you after our presentation. I have an extensive, huge, because I'm Pitta, list of all the books that I have in my own personal library that I bought over the years. In the last 7 to 8 years, I have bought, and I read constantly and I look for articles. That's one you're going to get. 2, you are going to get a listing of websites that have also those resources too. So if you're like me and you just want to know this all, and afterwards you have my email. And because this is something I'm passionate about, I'm not going to say, don't email me. I'm going to say, email me, and I'll be frank. And I'll say, I know, I don't know, I might know. And I might tell you who you could look to or whatever. Okay. So who was that? Is that Barb still? Barb, is that
No,
you?
Suzanne.
Suzanne?
Yep.
Okay. It'll help me if you guys say who it is. Okay, great. So you'll have a lot of resources to look towards. Okay.
We're losing some of your audio again,
Go
Melanie.
ahead.
So
Anybody else?
I'm Barb, but you're breaking up a lot. I didn't know what you were saying.
No other questions? Come on, don't be shy, ladies. No one?
I think
Oh.
sometimes it's a question of.
So I don't see it, so you can hear me better.
I think, Melanie, sometimes it's a question, if it's a brand new topic for people, they need to sit with it for a while and observe themselves. You know, this is not something you've spent many, many years studying this, as I know. And so for many, this is a first meeting of these ideas. So they may
That's
in fact
exactly
have more
right.
questions later. And
Well, I want to go back to what Mary had asked. I think Mary had said something about it before. The thing that with it, Mary, is you try something. If something makes you feel better, you stick with it. You try it a couple of times if you're not sure. It's an experiment. If everything you're doing and you're feeling wonderful, you're not going to really change what you're going to do. Don't do that. If you're feeling great, you're in balance, you don't really need to do a lot of changes. But if you're not, you do a little bit at a time. You try it. You see what your response is. If you came to this session thinking I was going to answer your health question, I'm not a doctor. I couldn't do that. I'm not qualified. But if you came to this session trying to figure out, what can I try and experiment that might make me feel healthier and more in balance, then you came to the right place. And that's what this was supposed to be about. Anybody got any questions? No other specific questions that I could maybe answer, maybe not, or maybe point you in the right direction?
Melanie, it's Nancy.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Okay, Nancy.
Hi.
Yep.
I was really lucky. I was really glad that Judy kept after me so that I got the sheets, because I knew it was important to fill out first. And if you did the guidelines for determining your constitution, your presentation was even more helpful, because I
Thank you.
back, and I'm just wondering, because I came out like 11 in Vata, and of course you know I would be more Pitta. I came out 14 in Pitta, so it's really close. Not a lot in Kapha at all.
Yeah, and that's what I'm very high in Pitta. And lifestyle wise, because I'm in my later years of life, we have more Vata in our bodies. It tends to be an imbalance. If you do a lot of traveling, you have an imbalance, more Vata. If you have no structure or aren't doing structural things, you have more of a Vata imbalance kind of thing. It may be that from birth you had a lot of Vata in you and you're mostly Pitta, or it may be what's happening in your life. So that can be one of the pieces, Nancy. But if you find you have more Pitta, do more Pitta things that you'll see in the documents that you'll get, and that you have so far. Tend towards the Pitta things, and then secondarily, because we're in Vata season and the Vata season of life, try to do more of the Vata kinds of things secondarily. Pitta first. And if Pitta and Vata are the same on something, do it. How's that? Does that give you a little bit of a sense of a direction to go in?
Yes, it does. Thank you. But the bottom line, of course, is the longer you live, but the more that goes wrong with your
yes,
and your health.
You got it. You got it, because we're further into the Vata season of life, and that's why. Oh, Nance, thanks. That's wonderful.
Thank you, Melanie. Always good to see you.
Yeah.
So I think we have time for
Nance, okay.
One final question or comment, and then we'll be turning you loose with your resources. And yes, I will be sending out the resource list and a website list as per Melanie's instructions. And if you reach out to me, I can connect you with Melanie if you have a specific question or need some direction.
I'm thinking on the PowerPoint, didn't you put my email for me?
I think I did on the very first one, so let's go back.
Okay. You will be
Let's go back.
getting the copy of the
You're breaking up
PowerPoint.
again.
Copy you. Not that that makes any huge point. You should have my email. It's right on the front there. It's my first name, my last name @gmail.com. Please feel free. I don't mind. If I know, I'll help. If I don't know, I'll tell you. If I have a question and I think of somebody who will, I can maybe point you that direction or where to look. So feel free to reach out to me. That's really the best way, because this is an intro. That's the best I could do for you in an hour's time, and with technical difficulties on my end. Yeah.
Well, I
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. Gotta go.
Thank you so much.
Any other last?
Melanie.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
delightful, and I think we all learned a lot, and hopefully we can all go into the winter season feeling a lot healthier and a lot more balanced.
Okay.
So have a great day, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Have
Love
a
to
great
see
day,
you all.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Judy.
you.
Bye, everyone. I wish I could have seen you, but I didn't get to. Okay, bye.